يحسب الإنسان أن لن نجمع عظامه.
So the first ayah, inshallah ta'ala, what we're going to talk about is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing upon the day of judgment. لا أقسم بيوم القيامة. So it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking an oath upon al-qiyamah. So when it comes to taking an oath or swearing upon something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously He can swear. We find something like Ash-Shams, Wash-Shams, Al-Qamar, Wal-Qamar. In those cases, when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes oath on things. When it comes to us, we take oath only upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it is not permitted for us to say, I swear by mother, or I take an oath by my mother. But we only swear upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So first thing, this is to emphasize upon the importance of upon Yawm al-Qiyamah. Now the second ayah, وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ, is talking about this nafs, or this person that constantly takes himself into account. So if one of the things we have to do, and the scholars sometimes they like to divide the nafs into three types. Mutma'inna, the one that is always pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lawwama is when it's always taking itself into account. Yani anytime you had a taqseer, or you fell short of something. So let's say you could have done better when it comes to your salah. If you asked yourself, how was my khushu in my salah? And you tell yourself, inshallah ta'ala, next time I'm going to make it better. One of the ways to check yourself, if you ask, what surah did the imam pray for Salatul Fajr? And you remember, well, alhamdulillah. If you don't remember, you take yourself into account, you tell yourself, inshallah ta'ala, tomorrow, I'm going to try my best to pay attention, ponder upon them. So this is a soul that is constantly taking itself into account. One of the things, every single one of us, the good and the bad, what they will have on the day of Qiyamah is regret. The ones who did good, they will wish they have done more. And the ones, obviously, what we find in the ayah, one of the things they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, رَبِّ ارْجِعُونِي لَعَلِّي أَعْمَلُ صَالِحًا, send me back so that I may do righteous deeds. So either you're going to have regret because you disbelieve on the day of judgment, or you're going to have regret that you did not do enough. But here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with the month of Ramadan. And He swears upon these two things. That is the nafs that constantly takes itself into account, and the other one is Yawm al-Qiyamah. So the third ayah, أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَلَّنْ نَجْمَعْ عِظَامًا, this is referring to the ones obviously who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that do they think that we will not bring them back after they were, do they think that we will not gather them? Obviously this is أَلَّنْ نَجْمَعْ عِظَامًا, referring to the bones. Now one of the things we have to always understand, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to return back to how we were, and we will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because one of the things that the ones who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they deny the day of judgment. This is one. But as mu'mineen, we know we will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in body, and we will be responsible for our actions. And I'll explain this further in the next ayah.
بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه بل يريد الإنسان ليفجر أمامه يسأل أيان يوم القيامة.
Now here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بلى قادرين على أن نسوي بنانه. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable. When it comes to our fingers, banana referring to our fingers, this is one of the interpretations. Every single one of us, we have a unique fingerprint. This is something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. Every single one of us, He will bring us back and we will have this, and He is capable of this. Whenever you hear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of doing all things, and He's affirming when they actually deny, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring us back. He's bringing with the bones. He is even saying, even when it comes to the fingers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of doing this. Now inshallah ta'ala, the next ayah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling, بَلْ يُرِيدُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يَفْجُرَ أَمَامَهُ. Now one of the qualities of insan is he wants to continue in his transgressness when it comes to disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He wants to continue doing it. And in one of the other interpretations is, he wants to, when it comes to ta'jeel, he wants to continue his disobedience and he wants to delay his tawbah. When it comes to returning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the common things you hear with people is, when you get older, okay, we will do all this. When you get older, you will do all this. And they want to continue on the path when it comes to the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about the insan that is constantly, he wants to continue in his disobedience. And the last ayah, they make a mockery, يَسْأَلُ أَيَّانَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ, when they're actually asking out of mockery, when is the day of judgment? So i.e. they want to continue in their disobedience and they question out of mockery, when is the hour going to be established? We as mu'mineen, we have in another hadith when the Prophet ﷺ was asked by a Bedouin man, مَتَى السَّاعَةِ, when is the hour? One of the answers the Prophet ﷺ himself he gives is that مَاذَا أَعَدْتَ لَهَا, what have you prepared for it? So for us, we don't know when the hour is going to come, but what is important is what are we preparing for the day of judgment when you will be standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
يسأل أيان يوم القيامة فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر فإذا برق البصر وخسف القمر وجمع الشمس والقمر.
This is like called Ahwal al-Qiyamah. One of the things that will happen on the day of Qiyamah is فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ. So when you see something that you're amazed, or sometimes you're dazed and your eyes stay open, when they see the reality of Yawm al-Qiyamah, here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us فَإِذَا بَرِقَ الْبَصَرُ. It is dazed because of all the things that it is seeing. So this is one of the things, this is going to be the condition of a person on the day of Qiyamah. The next thing is وَخَسَفَ الْقَمَرُ. The light of the moon on that day is going to disappear. And the third thing is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala وَجُمِعَ الشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring forth the moon and the sun together. So one of the three things that will happen on the day of Qiyamah, our eyes will be dazed because of the things that we're seeing in front of us. The light of the moon will go away and bringing forth of the sun and the moon. And there's a narration in Bukhari also where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet makes that one of the things on the day of Qiyamah is the qamar, that the moon and the sun will be brought forth together.
يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر كلا لا وزر إلى ربك يومئذ المستقر.
So here in this ayah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us يقول الإنسان يومئذ أين المفر, on the day of judgment, they will ask, where can they run? Al-firar, where can they escape? Where can they go away? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala negates it. Kalla la wazar. That there is no escape on that day. Ila rabbika yawma idhin al-mustaqar. It is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we're going to abide by in. Yani this is Darul Qarar, where everything you will be. This is your final abode. If you were obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is going to give you a pleasant life. Now if you were disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is obviously going to be a life of difficulty, a life that is going to be a lot of torment. So two things you have to understand, brothers. The hereafter obviously is permanent, and this life in this dunya, it is only a temporary abode. We'll mention just two more ayahs after this. يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ وَأَخَرَ. Yeah, I told her.
يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ يَوْمَئِذٍ بما قدم وأخر بل الإنسان على نفسه بصيرة ولو ألقى معاذيره.
So one of the things Allah subhanahu we will be informed يُنَبَّأُ الْإِنسَانُ بِمَا قَدَّمَ وَأَخَّرَ of what we had earned with our own hands and what we have left behind. So one thing we have to do is we have to plan whatever we're leaving behind. So when it comes to our children, they are a form of investment for us. All the sadaqah that you can do, building a well, the knowledge that you leave behind in a very well-known hadith, إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمْ انْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ his deeds come to an end except with three: صَدَقَةٌ جَارِيَةٌ وَلَدٌ صَالِحٌ يَدْعُو بِهِ عِلْمٌ يُنْتَفِعُ بِهِ. And the knowledge that he leaves behind, a righteous child that invokes for him, and sadaqah jariyah. So if you know by teaching something as simple as Surah Al-Fatiha to your kid, and you know every single day he's going to be reciting it, and inshallah ta'ala he's going to be teaching it to somebody else, this is something you have left behind. So you will be informed of what you left behind and what you had earned with your hands here. So you need to ask yourself, a nafsul lawa, as I started with, is something that takes yourself into account. So ask yourself, if I were to pass away today, what am I leaving behind and what have I earned? Not the wealth, but in terms of righteous deeds, what am I leaving behind so that it can be a continuous form of charity? Now the next ayah, you brothers, every single one of you, you are a witness to your actions. And there are things that only you know and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. There are actions, you will be a witness on the day of judgment for yourself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell you, اقرأ كتابك, read your book and your deeds. It will be brought forth in front of you. So on that day, there is no excuse, even though you may present an excuse, but even your organs will speak against you. So to summarize from whatever we took, ask yourself, when I disobey or am I pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day, is my nafsul lawwama, am I taking myself into account? This is the one thing. What are you leaving behind? If I were to pass away today, what am I leaving behind when it comes to my investments in the hereafter? Have I taught somebody? Have I made enough charity so that it may be a form of continuous rewards once I leave this dunya? So two things if you can take away today, and if you can think of investment in the hereafter, taking yourself into account and leaving some sort of investment in the hereafter, and teaching your children to invoke for you once you pass away. وَلَدٌ صَالِحٌ يَدْعُو لَهُ, a righteous child that invokes for their parents, brothers. So inshallah wa ta'ala, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those people who constantly take themselves into account. And as Sayyidina Umar goes, حَاسِبُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ قَبْلَ أَن تُحَاسِبُوا. Take yourself into account before you are taken into account. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك.